All right, let's get it rolling, ladies and gentlemen. It is 8:30 on Friday. What a week. What a freaking week. Let's just start off with Best of Hartford Award last night for the eighth year in a row. Guys, I cannot I say it when we're leading up to it. I can't tell you how freaking proud I am of this team for having consistently been able to create that performance. And last night, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the award, the ceremony. I got stuck in traffic trying to get back from New York City. Um, but I got into like a rabbit hole, which was like, what is it that creates consistent performance like that year after year after year? Because there's only a few of you that have been on the team for 8 consecutive years for every year that we've won that award. 100,000 people choose to go on to a website and click a link, and they don't have to do that. They go on, and so what I did is I did this informal review of like, how many reviews do we have? How many people go out there and say like, hey, the Miale team did an amazing job, 5-star review. You realize nobody it comes even close to the number of reviews that we've accumulated between Google and Zillow and all the different websites that are out there that take reviews and Facebook. It's freaking wild to me because that gets we don't put a disproportionate amount of energy into it, right? We don't talk about it every day. We should. We probably should, but we don't, which tells me that our results are bona fide. Like it gives me irrefutable proof that the way and method that we deliver our value is it's not you can't argue with it because every single year that let's see who's here. Every year that Aaron Varuso has been on the team. Aaron, you've been on the team for how many years? 4? 3? We've won Best of Hartford every year that she was here. But there were 5 years before she was here that we did it too. Every single year that award shows up for us. I'm so freaking proud of you guys. Like it tells me that there's a thing that we do that's special, that's unique, that creates an outcome that other people aren't getting. Like I know other real estate teams want to steal that from us. You know that, right? Nobody wants to not be. So here's the thing. I want you to put on your proud hat, the hat that says, you know what? I'm proud of me. I'm proud of my team. And I want you to do a little brag today. Really brag. Guys, it's Friday morning, so of course on Friday morning we dive into the important stuff, right? Not the tactics, not the thrills. We do personal development and leadership. And we have a special guest today, Michael Martinetti, who's coming all the way from the great state of New Jersey. And I saw Michael here. I saw his name. Let's see. There he is. Good morning, Michael. Welcome.
How you doing?
Listen, Michael, you are a special guest today. We only get guests that have the same initials as me. So welcome, Double M, to
Yeah,
the Miale team here in Central Connecticut. I mean, dude, we are maybe, I don't know, what, 200 miles apart, probably, right?
I just drove through you to go to Boston last weekend, and I
We
don't know
even
how
have
you guys.
we even have people around here that like the city of Boston too. So
Yeah,
we're right down. Oh, see, I got some scowls. I got some scowls. So, Michael, I'm really excited to have you. I'll share with you. I started doing this call with our team probably about 6 or 7 years ago. So pre-COVID, I started to realize that guys like you and I, we get the great privilege of getting into some rooms with some pretty impressive people, right? So we get invited into mastermind groups and we get to go hang out with really smart people who tell us all the cool things that they do with their business. And that invitation is awesome. And we learn all kinds of cool stuff, right? You come back and you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I learned about this thing in the business and this thing in the business and our personal development and growth sort of becomes a byproduct of that. But then what I realized was that I was pretty terrible at the transfer. That I would go learn the thing, come back to the team, and say like, guys, it's unbelievable. I just learned all this amazing stuff, and I'd take 3 days worth of immersive learning and turn it into a 15-minute brain dump. And I realized that I was definitely the bottleneck. I was the bottleneck for the people around me and their leadership journey. And so I decided to get out of the way and invite the leaders to the team. And so your name hit my radar. I listened to your MREA podcast, and I was like, this dude has got it. I cannot wait to hear and talk to you. So welcome to the
Thanks
Miale
for having
team.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I'm
Thank you.
glad to be here, and hopefully I say one or two intelligent things in the next
I'm
40 minutes.
I'm freaking certain of it. I'm certain of it. So let me just start with I did a little preliminary show research as we do. Um, I love the entrepreneurial spirit that just sort of like comes out of your pores. Like there was never a moment in your life where you weren't on the hustle,
Yep,
looking for the angle, trying to figure it out. And because this show is about personal development and kind of what makes us tick, I'm going to ask you sort of a big question right up front. And maybe we'll
sure.
spend the next 40 minutes trying to figure it out.
All right, let's do it.
What do you think makes somebody have that kind of drive that very quickly and give the team a little background into like let's talk about the
Yeah,
candy sales, we'll talk
sure.
about the like where does that come from, that engine? Because that's unique, that's unique.
Yeah,
Like
for
you didn't
sure.
have a bunch of friends that were like, oh cool, I'm going to do that too. Like what is that? Where does that come from?
It's part something you're born with, and then it's part something that you have to recognize at some point in your life. And I didn't recognize it until I was about 25 years old. Luckily, I found it then. As a young kid, I was an only child, grew up in an Italian family. My mom and dad worked. My dad was in business, but he couldn't get out of his own way. So there was parts of my life where we were upper middle class. There was parts of my life where we were lower middle class. Majority of my life, we were like on that border of lower middle class to middle class. So I didn't have like this terrible life. Um, but I didn't have anything spectacular. I grew up in a very, very blue collar town. Um, I don't know how I turned out the way I did in terms of a lot of the parts of my life. So my father, he owned various different businesses. He was in strip clubs, car dealerships. So, that lifestyle is not the healthiest for, a child growing up in, and he was in and out and whatever. My mom was kind of always there. My grandparents really helped raise me a lot. So they lived two doors down. So
Okay.
I was at grandma and grandpa's every day after school and whatever. So my grandfather was very old school, and he was the type of guy that would make me break garbage before I put it to the street because he said, you got to earn this. And he would tell me how hard he worked and all that. So
All right.
learned that at a young age. And then I remember my first, I think it was my I was either 7 or 8. For Christmas, I asked Santa for a lawnmower, a weed whacker, a snowblower, and that's what I got. And I went door to door and I handed flyers out, and I started doing that at 8 or 9.
Yeah, dude, this is what I mean. Like you say that, like, yeah, my grandfather told me to break down garbage, and then I immediately knew that I was going to start a landscaping company. Like, no, dude, there's something different about how you saw the world. And I think you sort of tapped into it. So there was some part of the way you were raised around the experience of witnessing your father as an entrepreneur, but the way you said it, maybe not with the highest level of success or not in industries that were serving him and you at the highest level. But then
Yeah, for
old
sure.
school grandfather, tell us about your grandfather. What did he do?
They did everything for me. I mean, my grandfather, so I'm 30, I'm going to be 36. My grandfather and grandmother both passed at 94, 96. So when I was 8, that would have made him probably somewhere around the age of 75. He would ride bikes with me. He would play sports with me, took me to my practices, played tennis with me as I whacked the ball all over the place. I mean, he did everything he could. And then my grandmother, we did word searches together, all these cockamanian games that I'd make up in the house. She would play with me. And then, she'd cook lunch, dinner, always put money in my piggy bank. And I knew that they didn't have a ton of money because my grandmother had a stroke at 55 and they were the same age. So they haven't worked from 55 and then they live till 94, 96. So once I was old enough to understand that I shouldn't be taking money from grandma and grandpa, that kind of helped motivate me to step up and figure out, okay, well, like, what can I do to help? And then that's where I started to come up with these ideas of making money. And
There
when
it
my
is.
dad was, doing whatever he was doing when it wasn't the best, I was giving money to my mom to help out with taxes and mortgage. And then I just figured out how to make more money so I could help more people. And that's kind of how I came up with the candy idea, because school to me was, my mom threw it down my throat. I knew it was important, but I'm like, all right, I'm learning about algebra. I'm learning about world literature. What is this going to do for me in the rest of my life? So I wasn't necessarily excited to go to school, other than like the 5 minutes that you got to walk past all the girls that you thought were good looking. And that was the highlight of my day, and the 40 minutes in lunch and the 40 minutes in gym class. Right. So I said, how can I make school like fun? So I wanted candy. There was no one that had it. So I went home. I told my mom, hey, Ma, I wanted candy. I go to school with a ton of kids and no one had it. So can you bring me to Costco? I have money. I'll go buy the membership. I already looked it up. It's $50. 36 pack of Starburst are $12.99. It'll cost me $13.69 with tax. And Skittles are the same price. I'll buy a box each and I'll go to school and see what I could do. So she actually was all on board, took me to Costco. I went to school. I sold everything out in 3 periods. Went home, told my mom, Ma, I made like $50. Like, can you bring me back to Costco? I went back to Costco. I spent all the money on more candy, and I bought all different types of candy. And I went back to school and I sold it all. And then I just kept doing that. And, I'm 14 years old. I just made a couple $1,000s, from March through June. So then, like, people were asking if they could work for me. So I'm like, well, I don't have a car, so I don't really know how this is going to work. But the older kids that had cars, I only lived 4 blocks away from high school, so they would come to my house. I gave them a package of 300 bars. They get to keep $50. I made about $98 to 105, depending on what they had, and then the rest covered the cost. And it took them a whole week to sell that, and I was selling about 200 to 250 bars a day as a sophomore. And when I graduated sophomore year, I had, I think, 5 or 6 kids selling candy, and I probably made, I don't know, 25,000, 30,000.
You took the model of a corner crack rock dealer and brought it to candy. I
Pretty
mean,
much.
it's friggin' brilliant, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, look, here's your package. It better not come back light. I'm so impressed.
Yep.
Okay, so my brain immediately jumps to all kinds of ridiculous things. Like, how did you get the candy there? Like, what were the legit? I mean, I'm picturing like you driving to school on a forklift. Like, you've got boxes. Like, what? How did, like, the logistics are, they're not even important, but what I'm so impressed by, I just want to stop on something. First of all, you're the only child in an Italian family. Grandma and grandpa are ever present in your life.
Yes, very
Um,
much so.
I also come from an Italian heritage, so I understand the level of attention that gets poured on a child in that, culturally. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm again inside of this question of the formula. So you're feeling probably what I would consider, an immense amount of love, care, attention, a
Yep.
lot of people around you. You said grandma's playing crossword puzzles, grandpa's riding bikes. Like, there's just a lot of people looking out for you. And at
Yeah.
some
100%.
point, and also giving you this message of, you got to earn what you get, right?
Yeah.
Like, break the
100%.
garbage down, right? Like, nothing comes for free. And
Yep.
then it occurs to you that your grandparents, who've been providing you all the support, probably aren't living with a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And
Definitely
you
not.
and it occurs to you, because you have this embedded part that you have to earn it, but generosity, which is what they showed you as part of what makes a life well lived, that it would be good for you to give back. And so somewhere early for you, before
Hmm.
the candy sales, purpose
Yep.
shows up. I got a
Yep.
purpose. I'm going to contribute. I'm going to give back.
Yep.
Um, do you remember, like, do you remember thinking about that? Do you remember that?
Vividly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I was old enough to where my mother made me understand that my grandparents shouldn't be giving me the money that they were giving me, is when I would take it and actually put it back in their wallet when they weren't looking. So it was me and two other. My mom has a brother who had two kids. One of his kids unfortunately overdosed. So, but growing up, I always knew I was the favorite out of the three, and it was just kind of that unspoken thing. And they maybe even felt that I just because they live, a mile away. I live two doors down, and I was with them every day. So I
Yeah.
was probably around 11 or 12 when I understood that, taking the $5 or $10 that I was given every day was something that they didn't have. And then I understood that they had a reverse mortgage. I didn't understand the process of that. I just understood that their house was slowly being taken by somebody else. I had no idea what a reverse mortgage was,
Yeah.
obviously, at
Right.
11. But my mom explained that to me one on one. So then I started to put the money back that they were giving me. And then I then ended up getting my first job at 13 where I washed cars at my dad's car dealership like 6 days a week in the summer.
Wow.
And started doing that. And then I started, putting money in their wallet from my wallet. And then the candy business was going on. So I had multiple streams of income coming in. And, this is 20 years ago. So 30 grand then was a lot more than 30 grand is today. Not that 30 grand is not a lot of money, but I was generating that as, a 15-year-old plus making $800 a week because I was working 60 hours a week washing cars.
Now this entrepreneur story continues, right? This
Yep.
is I mean again, this goes on all the way through high school
Mhm.
into college,
Yep.
and then there's this screeching halt
Yep.
where you graduate from college. And if I remember the number correctly, did you say you had made $400,000 selling candy?
Yeah, roughly somewhere between like 350 and 400,000. Yeah,
So,
because
and again, I want to ask like a really direct question. Did you,
sure.
you, and you also said that while you were in college, was it college or high school that you took the investment class?
I took an investment class. I won the stock market project. I opened my Roth IRA at 16. I started investing in the stock market at 16. My mom co-signed a custodian account.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't as stubborn as I am, I would have had $40,000 of Google at 16, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But what I had, because I had 40 grand at the time going into junior year that I wanted to make the investment because I bought Google in September and in October I doubled my money. I was crushing everybody like in the first month.
Yeah.
So I told her I wanted to buy it. And she says, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. She was going to let me do 10 grand. So I said, forget it. And I never bought Google.
Especially something called Google. What'll that ever be?
Yeah.
What a silly name for a company, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So every time I see her, I let her know what that 40 grand would be today. So it's kind of like a
I'm sure
running
you do.
joke.
I'm sure you
And
do.
she still hasn't lived that down.
I love it. So you sold candy bars, you created an empire, a candy business, you invested early in high school, you started investing, you go to college, and all of this is a clear path to become a gym teacher,
That's right.
which is ultimately where you landed, right? So you said, you
Yeah.
know what, this entrepreneur thing, this making money thing, you know what, I think I'd rather do dodgeball and indoor hockey.
Mhm.
And so you become a gym teacher.
Yeah.
Let's
I
just
remember how
let's
that happened too. My
yeah,
mom
I want
sat
to
me
hear it.
down at
That's why I brought it
17
up.
and she's like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life, Michael? I was like, Ma, I have no idea. She's like, well, college is coming up and you got to decide what you want to do as a major. So I said, well, I'm going to be undecided. So I got an internship with the Jets for sports marketing that she was able to somehow find me. And I did that. And that was the first and only job I quit before like the duration of what I was supposed to finish was I couldn't even make it. I hated it so much. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. So I just was like, all right, I'll be a gym teacher. So
Wait,
got
so
my
the sports marketing internship with the Jets was not for you. Like what and you said you quit, which again, nothing in your DNA says
no.
quitter.
It's the only thing
So
I've ever quit in
so
my life.
it
I
must have
hated it
been
that much.
pretty terrible. What made it so bad?
So the whole when I'm thinking of marketing, I'm thinking of, branding, growing a business. I'm not thinking of the low level stuff that you have to do as an intern. So it was a 12-week thing, and I felt horrible because my mom really worked her butt off to get me in front of the people that interviewed me and did everything that they did before selecting me. And I felt guilty because they only took 20 kids and I was one of them. But I was like, Ma, I hate this. And the Jets do suck. I agree. Whoever said that. So I'm fully in agreement with that. But I just was so miserable. I was like, I'm not gonna wish every Sunday away when I love football. I love watching it. So I couldn't even watch it. So 6 weeks through the 12 weeks, I was like, Ma, I cannot do this anymore. And so I didn't, and I quit. And so
What
only thing
was
I
her
ever quit.
response? What was your family's response to that? Like, because I know that I think that's really there's another really powerful lesson in that in like
Yeah.
young adulthood that like, one of the things I have three kids and that I try to raise them with is this idea of you've got to do your best at everything and you've got to
Sure.
follow through on your commitments and sometimes you got to cut your losses. Like, which is
Yeah.
that was the part of the lesson that I wasn't taught that created in me an unreasonable amount of suffering through things that just simply weren't working because, well, you can't quit, you just have to keep suffering. So
Yeah.
what was her response to that? Like, I'm going to quit. Like, was there support?
Yeah.
Was there?
She actually took it pretty well. Now, if you want to talk about her response to when I told her I quit teaching, that did not go over well.
Did not.
Um,
Okay.
and I told her the same thing when I quit both. Um, I said, Ma, you hate your job and complain to me for your entire life. So I don't want to be like that. I knew I didn't like it. And then when I quit teaching, she went berserk. She was crying and told me that I was never going to be able to do well in real estate. And literally everyone in my life told me not to do this. The only person that told me to get into this was the girl that I was dating at the time because she was 4 years younger than me. And she was like, yeah, go ahead, try it. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm doing it regardless. So no one's really going to tell me anything different because what's the worst that happens? I do this, I don't do well, and I go get another gym teaching job.
But gym teacher to real estate agent is not it's actually probably a pretty natural skill set transfer, but I don't think that that's like a normal path. So
No.
how did it come to how did it hit your radar? Like you're in there, you're teaching
Yeah.
gym and I'm assuming you're probably pretty good at it, you're having some fun, but what was missing for you? Like how did you decide like, yeah, I don't
Sure.
think I want to do this either.
Yeah, so I was 22. Me and a bunch of my buddies were all gym teachers. We rented a house at the Jersey Shore. We were all hung over. It was a Saturday morning in July. I want to say early July. And this little introverted guy comes on the beach. He's like 5'2". And I'm like, who is this guy coming at us? I've never seen him before. And it's my best friend's now wife's cousin. And
Okay.
he sits right next to me, and I'm like, please don't talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to sit in the sun and sweat this out. And he starts talking, and I'm like, God damn it. So he's talking, and I'll talk to anyone, right? I'm not somebody that's rude or thinks I'm better than anyone. So I just start talking to this guy as my head pounds. And I ask him where he's from. He tells me the town, and I said, oh, it's a small little town. He's like, yeah, I don't live there though. I'm like, what do you mean you don't live there? He's like, well, I own a house, but I rent it out. I live with my parents. And I'm like, what do you mean you own a house and you rent it out? He's like, yeah, like I own it, I rent it out, and I make, $1,400 a month. So my brain just all of a sudden I have no hangover. I'm sitting up, I lift my chair up, and I'm eye to eye, and I'm asking a million questions.
The Candy Man comes out like he's
That's
like
it.
you're like I know this game, man, I
So
know this game. Talk to me.
So,
Yeah,
he has no idea that I have about, $275,000 in the bank.
yeah.
So I go home on Sunday night and I tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, this guy told me you can own a house and you can make money. And I just start, you know, just running my mouth.
You just fire hose at her.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's like, great, sure. You want to buy a house? Let's do it. So 2 months and like 2 weeks go by and I close on my first house. And I'm actually in the process of selling that house today to buy a
Huh.
Chipotle.
Well, no way. That's awesome. What was it? What'd you buy? What was
I
it?
bought a two family. It
Cool.
was a duplex side by side. I bought it for 355 and I owned it for 12 years. And I'm now 1031ing that and a bunch of other two families to buy a Chipotle where I am going to be going into the commercial world in a triple net lease. So
Love it.
it's
Love
come
it.
full circle. But so that moment that I bought that first house, I was making almost 2 grand a month while I was making $3,600 a month to be a gym teacher in the hood.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So 2 years go by, and now I'm 24. No, actually, no, 25, because I bought it at 23. My birthday's in the summer, so I turned 23. I'm selling it for 901. I bought my
Nice work.
second house that I paid 465 for, and I'm selling that today as well in the same package with this other multifamily for 1,030,000. So I bought that second house and I was making a little over $2,000 a month. Um, and that's when I decided to quit. And by the way, the important part about this is at the time, both those homes that I bought were the most expensive two families to ever sell in the town's history. So I got
Of
hosed
course.
twice. I used a
Right.
part-time real estate agent to
Yeah.
help me buy those houses.
Yeah. Well, and of course, everybody told you what a terrible investment it was because you're
Yep.
paying too much, right? That's
Well,
like
they
my
didn't know
bit.
either. None of us knew. I
Yeah,
didn't know until I got my license. And then I looked, I was like, wow, I got hosed twice.
yeah, but did you? Because
No,
here,
not at
like
all.
that's sort of the story I always tell people is
Yeah.
like, the first multifamily I bought, I paid one of the top prices in the town that we live in. It was a three family, and everybody was like, "That's too much. You're overpaying." And like, 15 years later, it's quadrupled in
Yeah.
value. It's like,
Yeah.
well, did I really overpay? No, everybody would kill for that price today. So,
Yeah. 100%.
um, all right, so you get in, you get entry in through the investment world.
Yep.
You get hooked. You realize, okay, this real estate thing's got something to it. But being an investor, buying and being a landlord is a whole different thing than becoming a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And to this point, the last time you sold something was a candy bar in
Yep.
between English and math class. So
Yep.
so who convinces you, or how does it happen that you say, I'm going to go get a real estate license and I'm going to go see what I could do with this?
Well, I had no money left. And I knew that
Aha.
by the time that I was going to be able to buy a third, I'd have to teach for 10 years.
Right.
So I knew my agent wasn't good. I didn't realize, that agent has been out of the business. I was his best and maybe only client. Like he's been out pretty much since I got a license. And he definitely didn't want me to get a license. But I had no money left. And I'm like, all right. So I did the math. I had to teach for like another 10 years to be able to save to have 25% to buy a third. And by the time that happens, I'm not going to be able to afford a two family. So I sat down and I did rough math of what I thought an agent made. I figured an agent made 3% if they, were on one side and 6% if they were on the other. And I did the math and I'm like, all right, I only have to sell 12 houses a year and I can buy a two family every single year. And then by the time I'm 45, I'll be rich and then I can retire. So it was April and I was going to get tenured in 2 months, right? You got to teach 5 years in a day. So I was finishing my fifth year and all I had to do was show up to work in September one day and I got job security and a pension and all the stuff I didn't want. So I didn't tell anybody what I was going to do. Nobody, not a single person in my life knew what I was going to do. And I was playing with the idea of doing this back and forth. And I get a Facebook message in April from a guy that bought candy from me and was like hooked on drugs in high school. Haven't heard pretty much. If you asked me if he was alive, I would have told you he's dead. And he messages me 10 years later. Okay. He has no idea what thoughts are in my mind. And it's in April and I'm in traffic driving to work. It's at like 7 something in the morning. And he goes, hey man, it's Mike Tejada. I don't know if you remember me. I bought candy with you. We were in high school and I got into real estate and I'm making a ton of money. And you just randomly popped in my mind. And I thought I would reach out to see if you ever thought about getting a real estate license. And I'm like, all right,
Ah,
this isn't a freaking sign that I need
wild.
to do this. Then, so I went in, I got to work, and I went to the principal's office before I did anything. And I said, hey, Miss Gerhart, do you mind if I just talk to you really, really quickly? I just want to just kind of let you know where my head's at. So I sat down and I said, listen, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I haven't told anybody this, but I want to give you enough notice to find someone to replace me. So I'm going to finish the entire year out, but I just decided this morning that I'm going to resign here at the end of the year because I don't want to get tenured. I'm going to actually pursue getting a real estate license. And I don't want to have any comfortability of this job when going to get this license so it doesn't hinder my potential.
I
And
mean, classic burn the bridges, dude.
yeah,
Like if
so
ever there is a moment which is like you had to show up for 1 day to get tenure and have the comfort of all the things that most people sign up for.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, no, not only do I not need that, I don't want that. I don't know that there's many people that would have the courage to do such a thing.
Yeah. Well, the scariest part was telling my mom. So like she didn't know until like 2 weeks later because I was just trying to figure out how the hell am I going to tell her because I know she's going to go nuts.
I
Because
mean,
my
dude,
mom and I are
you
very
probably don't
different
even know
people.
how like you are the living embodiment of the caricature of an Italian family because
Yeah.
you're 26 years old, two multi-families making money, and you're like, I'm terrified of my mom. I'm
Yeah.
terrified. My mom's gonna kill me. Like, I love it. It's wonderful.
So, when I go home one day, I just told her, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. She just starts bawling, crying. Like, how could you do this? You worked your whole life for this, and blah, 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 blah. Now, my mother is not entrepreneurial. My mother is 9 to 5. You got to be a slave to work to make your $100,000, and you're going to struggle and you're going to figure it out. And like, she's very anxious, very nervous
Well,
to this day.
given what you shared about your dad, she had some
Yeah.
evidence to support that, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was the breadwinner most of the time, and she
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily the breadwinner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get it. And to this day, she's like this, right? And I take pretty much very good care of both of them. But she's to this day, like, she will not let me manage her money. It's still in her, but I won't go off topic.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so I told her, she went berserk. And so then I'm in my mind, I'm like, all right, yeah. So I have nobody in my corner. This is exactly what I want because now I'm going to just work that much harder to prove you all wrong. Because I'm super competitive. If you haven't put that together yet,
Oh yeah.
so now I party my ass off in the summer. I go to school for 4 weeks in September, and I get this stupid license. Now I'm like, all right, now what? So I reach out to that guy that told me to get it, and I'm like, hey, bro, I got my license. It's been 2 weeks. I've landed 16 for sale by owner appointments, but I haven't landed one. I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me? And he didn't really help me for a month or so. And then I reached out to him again. I was like, hey, it's October. I have nothing going on. I'm doing everything I can. I've offered 25% of my split, of my 50% split to people in the office, and nobody will help me. Like, I don't care. I'll work for you for free. Just like, I need to know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And then that's when he made his own team, and I was his first hire. And that's when I was introduced to Zillow leads.
Wow.
And in my first year of real estate, now mind you, the first 2 months I did literally nothing. I sold 37 houses,
Nice.
and I figured out what to do. I had a lot of good ideas. I told him all the ideas. He didn't really want to implement any of them. So after those 10 months, that first year was over, I took him to dinner. I took him out at night. It was like mom 2.0. And then I was like, listen, thank you so much, but I have these ideas that I want to try out, and I got to quit.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my own team, and here we are.
Yeah, and let's talk about that team today. So today, what's the team look like?
Yeah, so the team today looks a lot different than it did the first 6 years. So my first 5 years as a team leader, I was probably one of the worst team leaders in the country. And then I went to this thing they call Mega Camp. It'll be 3 years in August today, and that's kind of what changed my life in the sense of how I view real estate. So I have a very high natural ability that I figured out as I've gone through the process of building where it is. Like my average, I sell personally about 200 houses a year for the last 6 out of the 9 year career that I have. First year was 37, second year was 84, third year was 97. I left Remax, came to Keller Williams, sold 139, and then I've been around the 200 mark for the last 6 years. But I went into Mega Camp, and the first 3 people on stage all sold less than me. And I'm like, why am I sitting here? I should be on stage. And I'm like, no, that's not what you're here for. So they all are talking about this thing called a coach. And I'm like, who the hell hires a real estate coach? And then the fourth person gets on stage, and they have numbers that are way better than mine. And the first thing they do is shout out their coach. So I get up, I go find the maps booth, and I just start talking. I say, hey, my name is Michael Martinetti. I'm from New Jersey. I have, I think I could be a really good client. I have a really good work ethic. I want to hire a coach. Can you just guide me in the best direction so I can hire a coach? And I was about to hire the first person I spoke to. And then there's this little thing on my shoulder that's like, you're always impulsive. Why don't you just like see this weekend through? So I take that woman's number down and I go back in, and there's a coaching panel that comes on stage. Jordan Freed, some guy that I don't remember, and he's an a-hole, and Jennifer Abrams. As they're talking, I send all three of them emails as they're speaking. And this is before ChatGPT, so I had to write it myself. So I had to just try to sell myself in an email, and I'm not great with words. I was a gym teacher, right? I'm not, English is not my forte. So I'm trying to make it as professional and grammatically correct. I send them emails. Jen says, Jen answers me. The guy that was an a-hole never responded to me. That's why he's an a-hole. I don't even remember his name. And I see Jordan in mega camp, like, when you walk out, I see him. So I follow him like a creep. And he must have had a 20-minute conversation with somebody while I'm standing there waiting.
Right next to
And he
him.
knows, and the person that's talking knows, and I'm clearly standing there waiting to talk to them. And then when they're finally done, I said, Jordan. And I just gave him a minute trying to sell myself. And Jordan ended up creating a spot and taking me on as a coaching client. And the last 2 years, I went backwards, undoing all the shit I did wrong for the first 5 years of running a team. And today, I have a director of sale, a director of ops, a listing transaction coordinator, a buying transaction coordinator, two ISAs, and two marketing women. And then we have 15 real estate agents. We are up about 25% year over year from last year, and we're on track to do somewhere between 425 to 450 units, and we're going to do roughly around 300 million. And our average
Amazing.
sales price is $696,000.
Amazing, amazing business, dude. That's unbelievable. Congratulations on all that. Do you still coach with Jordan?
I actually don't. So Jordan sent me up with Pete Charbis about 6 months ago
Yep.
because I was in the part of needing to hire a director of sale because
Yep.
I'm not a good director of sale. So I've been with Peter now for 6 months. Um, we successfully hired a director of sale in January. It was a godsend. He's been amazing. He's the complete polar opposite of me. And the team has responded exceptionally well. Every single person on my team this year is on track to have the best year they've ever had in their career. And
Awesome.
we're a younger team. I'm 36. I'm the fourth oldest out of all of us. So a lot of the people on my team are upper 20s, lower 30s. So there's a few of them that are on track to, crack 250,000 this year, which is very exciting for us because I
Amazing.
really do care about how well they do and want them to do well. I want them to be able to understand how to financially build wealth in various different ways. We have a team flip going on where they're invested with me so they can understand how a flip works. I have a construction company I opened up 3 months ago. So they get 10% of the profits of any job that they land us. So these are just
Nice.
other things I'm trying to do to make them understand that, yeah, real estate's great. Yes, you can make a ton of money, but there's so many ancillary things around real estate that don't really distract you that can help you make so much more money. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do and teach them to hopefully get them to be able to do on their own. And hopefully they can accomplish whatever their financial dreams are.
So
Uh,
let's go back to the very beginning of this conversation and talk about what makes it work. Like what is
sure.
the so there's a couple of things that I mean, and I take notes like a
Yeah, you
kindergarten.
look like the same way I take notes.
Yeah,
I
so
do
I draw a
what I do.
circle.
I write
Yeah,
things down. I'm
yeah.
old school.
So the theme for you is you said impulsive, but I think it's decisive, is that you have an innate sort of there's an innate part of you that trusts your instincts at a level that a lot of people don't
Yeah,
generally have a hard time trusting,
I would
right?
say it's
Like
accurate for
yeah,
sure.
so you sitting in the audience, you hear a coach, you go, "Yep, that's the thing." You go, you make you're decisive. You decide, you go, "Gym teaching's not for me. I'm going to do real estate." Like there's some sort of and I remember this occurring to me when I was younger, that and looking at people that I modeled or looked up to, that there was an unreasonable, irrational confidence and faith of like, this is going, I don't know how, but I'm going to make this work. I don't know how really, but I'm going to figure this out. Doesn't mean I'm not afraid, but I'm just not allowing the fear to be the thing that doesn't, that prevents me from making the decision or doing the thing.
Yep.
You also, once you've decided, you get really laser focused on it. And
Yeah, I
then,
want to be the best possible at anything that I do. That's
yeah,
just how I
that
am.
that's a really, again, that's something else that is unique. Like you don't tend to dabble. You're not a dabbler. You're like an all in,
Yep.
which means that somewhere you must be able to shut off the noise of the other things, right? Now you're a leader of real estate agents, and so it won't be a surprise to you that a lot of real estate agents spend their time on things they shouldn't spend their time on, right?
Yep.
That
100%.
if there was a thing that you said that you teach to your agents that has helped them to create focus and follow you, what do you think that is? How do you help them to manage through the distraction?
So what I do is I try to understand them because every single person on this call and in my life has a different vision, different purpose, and different thing that they're looking to accomplish. I try to understand what that is for them and then help them accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. What I want to do in my life and what excites me doesn't excite most people, and that's okay. I understand that. I'm very unique in certain ways, and the way I work is very unique. That being said, I want to understand how they work, how they're going to learn, what the best way for me to get through to them is, and the best way to coach them, and ultimately the best way to support them to help them accomplish what they're looking for in their lives. And by doing that, two things happen. One, retention, which is not why I do it. I do it because I genuinely care. But two, it's that trust factor that they trust me, I trust them, and we're going to build it together. Anytime I talk about like our organization, I'll always say our team, we work together. I never say, oh, she works for me. And if I do, I correct myself.
Yeah.
So I think what's important is when you're doing things in life, trying to understand the other person on the other side, what and why, what their what and why is, will help you better understand them, better build a connection, and then best serve the both of you. So I really try to make sure that I understand each person in my world, whether it's at work or friends or my children or whatever, so I can show up the best that I can for them while being true to myself, if that
On
makes
the day
sense.
on the days when they don't have it, you can fill in the gaps. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's
And
awesome.
vice versa.
I want to before we wrap up, you got 5 more minutes for us?
Yeah. Listen, I'm good till about 9:40. So,
Yeah, we're
I
gonna.
want
What I want to do, I want to see if we have any questions because
yeah,
you have unloaded an unreasonable amount of wisdom and knowledge and just guys, what do we want to ask Michael about his process, about the way he's running his team? What do we want to learn from him? We've got a wealth of knowledge and information here. I would love to hear from you guys. So throw some hands up and give us some comments and some questions. Let's show Michael a little love. What do we got? You left it all on the table, Michael. There's nothing. There's Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. What are you thinking, Aaron? Take us home. Talk to us.
I mean, I'm thinking about a lot of things. By the way, you totally give gym teacher vibes. I can just imagine you yelling at everybody to
I
like
bet you
slow
he
down.
knows that too, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like yeah.
But I actually am thinking, my husband and I are doing a lot sort of in the background for our kids, like investing money for them, putting stuff away. But I think where I'm lacking right now is actually explaining that to them, like getting them to think about that for themselves. And I mean, there's so many things that you could encourage your kids to do to go out and earn money. And they've thought of it like I want to be a babysitter, I want to walk dogs, but I feel like I've kind of taken ownership of the logistics and I can't fit that in. So just really encouraging them to like take the reins on that. And my
sure.
oldest is 12. You started when you were what, like 8? So I
Yeah.
feel like it's time for my kids to get into action now. So thank you for that inspiration.
Yeah,
Well,
of
there's
course.
a new Christmas list. It's a snowblower, a weed whacker. I mean, that's the new one, right? So I
Yeah,
love it.
so what I would say, look, my children are a little bit younger, but what I would encourage them is like if your 12-year-old saying they want to walk dogs, then give them idea of how are you going to pick up walking dogs. I mean, this beautiful thing called Facebook Marketplace where you can go in these groups and say, hey, my 12-year-old wants to walk dogs. She's extremely responsible, A student, blah, 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 and help her or him understand how are you going to acquire your customer. I didn't have the idea of going door to door at flyers. My mother did. She told me that's how you do it. And then I said, great. So she went to work. She printed out the flyer. She gave them to me. And then I went door to door. So if you can help them understand how are you going to get from walking the dogs to doing, then it's their initiative that they have to take to do it, right? And then once you get them doing it and they start to earn money, you'll notice it'll either click and they'll love it, or they'll want to be with their friends. And either way is okay, because you got to remember they're 12. And then in terms of the investment side, I would say wait a little bit until they're older. You still want them to be children. I plan on teaching my children about it probably sophomore, junior year. And my kids are going to have zero idea how much money they have in the bank. I'm not going to tell them. When they're 18, they're going to sign documents where they're going to add me onto their account. They're going to have no idea. And when they're in their mid-20s, if they develop the way that they're supposed to, is maybe when I'll let them know, or they may never know. So that's kind of where I'm at today, philosophically, of where I'm at. They have Roth IRA accounts, and they have I have them in the stock market in 100% stock, because they're 6'4", and soon to be newborn. So the market could belly up. I could care less. It could belly up 5 times. It's not going to matter. They're going to have an absorbent amount more than they do today. So it's just really helping them put the plan in place. You got to remember they're 12. So they're so small minded that they have these ideas, but as simple as it is for us to think about how to get them to execute it, they may not be able to put that together. So that would be my suggestion, is just kind of help them see how they can execute that.
I love that. I love that advice too, because I've definitely, with 3 of my own kids, had a lot of occasions where they come and say, "I have an idea," and then you're like, "Okay, well, go do this," and then it never manifests. So I love the idea of like giving them the detailed plan, like your mom did with you. That's really
Yeah,
good.
100%.
Ginger, what are you thinking?
Um, Love the talk, love the story. Thank you so much for your time today. Curious how you guys communicate on your team. Like,
Sure.
what is a day-to-day thing that you do to like engage with your agents,
Sure.
and what does that look like?
Sure. So we have a group chat on Group Me. I'm not Group Me. I'm sorry. We changed it to WhatsApp. So anytime someone has any question about anything, we type in there. Since hiring our director of sale, we actually do trainings now. As pathetic as this is, I never trained my agents up until January of this year. So when I told you guys I really had to go backwards to fix everything I did wrong, I genuinely did everything wrong. I was doing very little right.
Welcome to
So
leadership, buddy.
yeah. So every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do trainings from 9:15-ish to 10:15-ish. So we will do role play, script training. I will ask them just struggles that they're having in their business or obstacles they faced. We'll go over the listings that we have for the upcoming week. Anybody that had like an exceptionally good week, we'll shout them out. And it's really just like a hybrid training that we do just to get them kind of focused. And then half my team comes to the office. I'm in my office now, Monday through Friday. I'm here every day, all day that I'm working. Today I'm playing golf right after this. So I will be out of here at 9:40 and off to the golf course. But we're around each other a lot. I have a 936 square foot gym like right there. So it gets some of them to come to the gym and work out with me as well. I just try to make it as inclusive to where they come and want to come to work, so they can be around me and I can be around them, and they hear me on the phone and they hear what I'm doing and I hear what they're doing and that type of thing. So I would say communication's pretty good. And we do 2 times a month. We do meetings similar to how we're doing this right now, where we just go over everything. And we're still developing and building it out to make it better and better. But as of 6 months ago, we didn't even do anything. So
What
So
do you
you've
look
got
what do you look
sorry.
for in your agents when you bring them on the team? What are the top
I
three?
Yeah, what I look for is organization. I look for growth minded. I look for selflessness. I look for people that are going to be honest with me, that are not worried about what their split is, but how are they going to make money? So I pay attention to the questions they ask me and how quickly they ask me about commission. If somebody's going to ask me in the first or second time when I ask them a question, what's my split? That'll immediately lets me know that that's not a team player. That's a me and you guys are secondhand it, and that's not what I want. We have an extremely good culture here. Everything that any big decision we make, we do unanimously. We let them all vote on a piece of paper, put it in a bucket. We read the results, and then we make a decision as a group. If it's a decision that I have to make, then I make it, but I still consult with them before I make a decision. So those are the skill sets and attributes that I look for. And similarly with the construction company I just opened up 4 months ago, the guy that I have running it, I said, listen, experience is great, and it's also not great. If you hire somebody that has the right attributes to build a business around, all you have to do is teach them what the job entails. That's the easy part. You can't change someone's DNA, or it's going to be really difficult, right? It's going to be way more difficult for me to change you as a human than teach you what the job is. So when I hire people, I don't care how many houses you sold. I actually could care less. I'm trying to read you over the 3-step interview process that you have a lot of the skill sets that I look for to help make you the best salesperson or whatever that is in our world as possible.
That's awesome. Great questions, Ginger. I love it. I love it. Really good. So just wrapping that, Michael, the cadence on your team, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, you guys do a training.
Yep.
You're in the office more or less every day, unless you're golfing, right?
Yep.
And you said about half of your team comes to the office every day.
Yep.
Yep. And
And
then you have a gym.
starting to pop in and out.
Is the gym in your office, or is it like a next door, or?
Ready? We'll take you on a tour. So
All right.
our
Let's
office
see a
is
tour of the
completely
office.
open.
Yep.
So I don't sit in like a room like that.
Yep.
I sit here because I don't want them to feel like I'm any better than them. And then literally I just walk right through here. And I give my entire staff off Friday, so that's why nobody's here. So they only have to work 4 days a week because I want them to enjoy life. When I need them, I call them, but
Don't think
this
about
is-
it, Cody.
this is our gym. It's a legit gym.
Nice.
So, but yeah, so like for me, I know seeing how my mom was like miserable her whole life working. I always said if I ever was in a position to have people, work for me, that I would want them to not feel the way my mom did, because my mom struggled, like she had it. She has anxiety and depression and things like that, that luckily I don't have. And I was kind of like her rock growing up my whole life. So I don't want people in my world to feel that way.
Mhm.
So they have unlimited sick days, unlimited vacations, and they're off every single holiday, even if it's like Flag Day. They don't have to come to work on Fridays, but if I do need them or somebody needs them, they're expected to do what they do. And nobody ever takes advantage of it. In fact, when they go away like twice in a year, they're apologizing to me. So I just run it the European way and my way. And I know that the way I do things may not be normal or conventional, but it works for me, and I understand why I do things, and I don't just do things to do them. So
yeah, you don't have to justify it. It's awesome. It's obviously working. What you're doing is working. So
yeah,
that's fantastic. It's really incredible, Michael. Thank you for sharing. Corey, you got a comment, thought, question?
Yeah, I had a question, but I don't want to take up any more of his time. It was
very
I was
good.
play-
I
I
could
was
even
playing
extend a
off-
little bit. I want to answer questions. I mean, that's
Okay.
you guys sat here. That's the whole point of this. And if
I was
if
playing
there's
off
anything
of
I can do
Ginger's
after this,
question.
I'll give you my
I'm
contact.
sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I don't want you to miss your golf game.
No, that's all right. They'll wait for me.
Playing off of Ginger's questions. Do you have with your agents again? Do you have certain metrics they meet, you want them to meet goals? I mean, we all set goals. You know,
Sure.
we all do it. I mean, from the most experienced to the newest licensed person. Certain metrics you need them to meet, do they get benefits at a higher level? You know, just take me through from
Sure.
0 transactions to
Yeah.
somebody who does
So
30, and when do you want them to meet a certain metric by?
yeah, absolutely. So if you're a first year brand new agent, we would love for you to sell 12 houses in your first year. It's kind of like an open policy. If you were to sell 6 and you have the attributes of what we look for, we might keep you for a second year. Anything above that, again, if you have the attributes, we'll keep you for a second year. Once you're in your second year, you have to sell a minimum of 12 houses. If you don't, then you fire yourself. There's zero reason that you can't sell 12 houses in my world. There's no excuse. So it's 12, which is the reason we selected 12 is there's certain people in our world that they're happy selling 12 to 15 houses because their husband or wife may make enough money and they just want to make their 100 or $150,000 and that makes them happy. And I don't want to punish somebody for fulfilling what fulfills them. So that's kind of how we came up with that threshold.
Oh,
Because,
that's great.
you know, I understand that there's 99% of the people in the world probably don't want to try to sell 200 houses a year like I do. Because it's insane and it's stupid. But it's just, I'm competitive, so I can't turn that off in me. And then in regards to, what was the second part of your question? Was
No, you kind of answered it all together.
okay.
I was putting it all together, just what it looked like for you taking a brand new agent from 0 to 12 in a
Yeah,
year and what
yeah,
you expect them, yeah.
yeah. So we try to, you know, I know it's a lot, but it's also they have so much support here and so much opportunity that like they can't squander it. But it's also our job to develop them. And this year, I could say that we're developing them the way they need to be developed. Anyone prior, it's my fault. If they failed, it's my fault. It's not their fault because I didn't train them properly or give them the tools and resources that they needed that they have this year. So anything prior to January 1st, everything's my fault. I wouldn't blame anyone. It's all on me, truthfully. I wasn't a good enough leader. So I just didn't know what I didn't know.
The lifelong journey, my friend. You'll
Yep.
just keep doing it. You just
Yep.
keep doing it and breaking it and figuring it out as you go. So
Yep.
it's awesome. Great question, Corey. Bennett, what are you thinking? Let's take it home.
So, important question, Mike, because I see the gym. Are you pro or against a ping pong table in the office?
I'd be all for it.
You
I'd be
would,
all-
okay, because
Yeah.
there's a certain leader on our team that's kiboshed my idea for a ping pong table. So I
I
wanted to
don't
get
think I've
somebody.
even heard of this idea. I don't think I've even heard of this idea.
Okay,
And first of all, ping pong's for losers, but foosball all in. Let's go.
okay,
Let's
okay.
do that. But for
All
sure,
right.
yeah, I don't know that I've ever kiboshed a ping pong table.
Yeah, beer
But
pong Fridays would be great too. I'd be all
yeah.
in for that.
Love it.
Well,
Okay.
that's spoken like a dude who's 36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever. How old are you? What'd you say?
I'm 35. Don't age me yet. I'll be
35. Yeah, there you go.
36.
Yeah, there's no beer pong
36
Fridays for this
in
for
3
this
weeks.
old
So.
geezer. Not anymore. So, Michael, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. Really,
No worries.
really impressive. What an amazing story. So impressed by you, by what you built. Awesome job, and congratulations on all your success. Look forward to seeing you somewhere out and
Yeah.
about. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
hook up at some point. If there's anything that we can do for you, the big question: how can we support you today? Where can we show up?
Yeah, for
What
sure.
what can we do to help move your business forward? What's an initiative that you've got? What can we help you with?
So we are starting to do what you're doing with me now in 2 weeks in our world. So if you could tell me what your superpower is, this way when we start to interview top agents like yourselves there, I can have you reciprocate to my team. And then we're close enough to where if you ever wanted me to stop by you guys and do something for you or vice versa, or we can meet in the middle and grab dinner or whatever. I'm always down to meet people in real life. We're close enough. And
Happy to.
my kids in travel hockey, so I get to travel through Connecticut, 2-way highways. I don't know how the hell you guys do it there. I really don't. Whoever
Well, no,
created
we don't know
those.
how you do it in Jersey either.
No,
But
it sucks here too. To be
yeah,
fair, call a spade, but at least we got 5 lanes. Christ,
yeah,
it's
five.
it's a brutal ride. But if you could just tell me what your superpower is by you guys, this way I can bring it to my director of sale, and then we can reach out to you guys.
I'm the wrong person to ask. You can never ask the superhero what their superpower is. But we've got one of the highest per agent productivity models in the country. The agents that are on our team consistently outperform the average agent in the marketplace. We are 85% sphere repeat and referral business.
All right, so
So
there's superpower,
we
and
don't
that's what we're
spend
starting at.
we don't spend any money on external leads, and we focus exclusively on
Cool.
building deep relationships with the people that we serve,
Perfect.
which creates a lot of retention on the team, and higher than averages net proceeds for the agents. So
Okay. Yeah. And that's the first topic we're doing. So what I'll do is I'll connect with, I believe it was Corey, of how to get you to hop on a call with us.
happy to,
Yeah.
happy to.
We'll love to have you do that, because that is where about 90% of my business comes from. But what we've realized when analyzing the numbers, majority of my team doesn't even 50%, not even 50% of their business comes from this sphere. So we're really trying to take an initiative on making them understand how to utilize it and how to tap into it and not rely on these paid leads that unfortunately we do pay for, and help them develop that. So our first 6 speakers, and hopefully you'll be 7th, we'll figure out when in the next 2 months, is strictly on sphere of influence. Because when I talk about it, I feel like in their minds, they all have the same thing. Well, your sphere is my sphere because we all grew up in the same area, and everyone's just going to call you because you're better than me. And it's like so close-minded, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's actually, Michael, it's an incredibly natural progression for a real estate team. 99% of people that get to the point where you are have built a business based on sphere network and referral business. And then they get to a point where somebody says you should start a team, and they go to grab a bunch of people and say, hey, just go do what I did. And then realize that most of the people don't have the skill or the knowledge or the sphere or the drive or whatever that secret formula is that we always try to
Yep.
figure out.
Yeah.
And so then what the leader does is they go buy a bunch of leads,
Yep.
because they say, well, I'm going to actually teach you how to do the business completely different than how I did the business, which is a
100%.
silly thing to think about when you realize that that's
Yeah.
what most real estate teams do, and why most real estate teams fail,
Yep.
and constantly have to reinvent themselves and never actually turn a profit. And because they just keep plugging into an external solution to a problem that has to be solved internally. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% right. I mean, we've cut our spend down 60% in the last 5 months.
you have to, because it actually winds up, it winds up bleeding the company out. It's
Yeah.
always the case. So,
No,
all right.
100%.
Well, this has been amazing.
100%.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you,
well,
Michael.
yeah, thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions or anything, I'll give you guys my personal cell phone number. You can call me or text me. I have a 30-minute ride to the course, so I'm happy to help anyone any way I can.
Listen, hey, we all owe Michael a debt of gratitude. Thank you so much, Michael, for being with us this morning. Another awesome Friday. Guys, it is a fantastic,
Take care, guys.
fantastic weekend to go get it done. If you don't have open houses on your schedule, you should get them. We have story after story of people pulling down deals right now in this market, from people that are walking into open houses, unrepresented, no, houses to sell. There's opportunity out there. And here's the thing. It is Friday, which means that right now you can pull up your calendar for next week. You can look at what's on your calendar, and you can make a decision today. Do I have the calendar next week that reflects the goals that I said that I want for my life? If you don't, then that is your only job. So, do you have an appointment next week? Is there someone that has agreed to meet with you to hear what value you provide potentially in helping them buy, sell, or invest in real estate? If you're looking at your calendar and no one is there waiting to hear from you, there's really only one thing to do, right? Go set an appointment. Find someone that will listen to what you have to say, because what you have to say is proven, bona fide, verified, irrefutable. 8 years in a row, we're the best there are at this. So go tell somebody and help them. Make it a great day, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Have a great weekend. Do well, do good things. Bye-bye.